Before you get defensive, this isn't about intelligence or worth as a person. This is about a fundamental misunderstanding that the education system never corrects. There's a massive difference between being educated and being wealthy. The school system taught you how to be a good employee, how to follow instructions, how to get good grades, but it never taught you the actual mechanics of wealth creation. Meanwhile, those average people without fancy degrees, they somehow figured out what you weren't taught. The uncomfortable truth is that formal education often creates a specific type of financial blindness. You were conditioned to seek security, follow established paths, and trust institutions. They weren't constrained by those beliefs. You were taught that time equals money through hourly wages and salaries. They learned that leverage, ownership, and risk equal money. You were prepared to work in the system. They learned to build systems. This isn't about throwing away your education or pretending knowledge doesn't matter. It's about understanding why educated, intelligent people often struggle financially while less educated people sometimes thrive. The answer will challenge everything you believe about money, success, and the relationship between education and wealth. Before we break down exactly what's happening here, I want to hear from you. Are you enjoying this video so far? And where in the world are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments. I love connecting with viewers globally. Formal education teaches you to fear failure. Every wrong answer reduces your grade. Every mistake goes on your permanent record. You learn that the safe path, study hard, get good grades, land a stable job, is the correct path. This conditioning runs so deep that by the time you enter the workforce, your default decision-making framework prioritizes avoiding loss over pursuing gain. Meanwhile, people who didn't spend 16+ years in this conditioning often maintain a fundamentally different relationship with risk. They're more willing to start businesses without guaranteed outcomes. They'll invest in opportunities that don't come with institutional validation. They'll make career moves that seem reckless to educated professionals, but offer asymmetric upside potential. Consider the typical trajectory. An educated person graduates, gets hired at a corporation, and receives a salary. That salary feels safe. It's guaranteed income, benefits, a 401k match. But it's also capped. You might get 3 to 5% annual raises, maybe a promotion every few years that bumps your income by 15–20%. Over a decade, you might double your income if you're exceptionally successful within that system. Now consider someone who starts a landscaping business with no formal education. The educated person sees the landscaper's path as risky because there's no guaranteed salary, no benefits, no 401k match. The uneducated entrepreneur sees the corporate path as risky because you're entirely dependent on one income source, controlled by people who can eliminate your position at any time. They're both right, they just have different definitions of risk. Research on entrepreneurship consistently shows that higher education levels correlate with lower entrepreneurial activity in certain sectors. This isn't because educated people can't start businesses, but because they've been conditioned to perceive traditional employment as safer, even when the financial upside is dramatically limited. This risk tolerance gap extends beyond entrepreneurship. Educated individuals are less likely to invest in real estate, start side businesses, negotiate aggressively for higher pay, or make bold career moves because they've been trained to value incremental, secure progress. Each safe decision feels responsible in the moment, but compounds over decades into a massive wealth gap compared to those who took calculated risks. The paradox is that education gives you better tools, critical thinking, specialized knowledge, professional networks, but simultaneously programs you not to use those tools for wealth creation. You become more capable, but less willing to deploy that capability in financially asymmetric ways. If you're finding this perspective valuable and want to learn more about how to think differently about money and wealth building, I'd really appreciate if you could subscribe to the channel. We're working toward 1,000 subscribers, and your support helps us create more content like this that challenges conventional financial wisdom. Hit that subscribe button. It truly helps us reach more people with this message. This creates a bizarre situation where highly educated people are functionally illiterate about money. They can analyze complex problems in their field, but don't understand the difference between good debt and bad debt. They can write sophisticated research papers, but don't know how capital gains taxes work. They understand their specialized domain, but are completely naive about wealth mechanics. Meanwhile, someone who dropped out of high school but spent 5 years working in sales, then 3 years running a small business, has inadvertently received a comprehensive financial education. They understand cash flow because they've had to manage it. They understand profit margins because they've had to price products. They understand tax strategies because they've worked with accountants to minimize their burden. They learned by doing what you never learned at all. The specific knowledge gaps among educated people are predictable and devastating. Most don't understand that earned income, salary, is taxed at much higher rates than passive income, dividends, capital gains. They don't realize that wealthy people minimize W-2 income and maximize business income because the tax code rewards business owners over employees. A business owner making $150,000 might pay 15 or 20% effective tax rate through legal deductions and business expenses, while an employee making $150,000 pays 28-32%. Educated employees also rarely understand asset classes beyond their 401k. They're not diversified across real estate, businesses, commodities, or alternative investments. They've put all their wealth building into one vehicle, retirement accounts, that they can't access for decades and that have contribution limits. Meanwhile, less educated but financially literate people might own rental properties generating monthly cash flow, own parts of businesses paying distributions, or have invested in assets that appreciate and produce income simultaneously. The timing of income realization represents another massive gap. Educated professionals typically earn the least early in their careers and the most late in their careers, the exact opposite of optimal wealth building. If you earn $50,000 at age 25 and $150,000 at age 55, you're investing small amounts when compound interest has maximum time to work, and large amounts when it has minimum time. Someone who earns $100,000 at 25 through business ownership and invests heavily early, even if their income doesn't grow dramatically, will build significantly more wealth through compound returns. The concept of leverage, using other people's money, time, or resources to amplify your own efforts, is completely foreign to most educated employees. They think of work as personal time traded for money. Entrepreneurs understand that hiring one person doubles your productive capacity. Hiring 10 people creates exponential output, and using debt to purchase cash-flowing assets creates wealth from borrowed money. Financial education also includes understanding value creation versus time exchange. Employees are paid for their time. There's a direct correlation between hours worked and income received. Business owners and investors are paid for value created or capital deployed. There's no direct time correlation. This fundamental difference explains why educated professionals working 60-hour weeks often earn less than less educated business owners working 30-hour weeks. An asset is anything that generates income or appreciates in value without requiring your direct time investment. A rental property is an asset. It generates rent whether you're working or sleeping. A business with employees is an asset. It generates profit while you're on vacation. Dividend-paying stocks are assets. They send you money quarterly without any action from you. Royalties from intellectual property are assets. They pay you repeatedly for work you did once. Now consider what most educated professionals build during their careers: expertise, reputation, and job experience. These things increase your earning potential within employment, but they're not assets. They're personal attributes that only generate income when you actively trade your time. The moment you stop working, the income stops. You've built a high-value skill set, but you haven't built wealth-generating assets. This is why doctors, lawyers, and executives often feel financially trapped despite high incomes. A surgeon making $400,000 annually has high income. But if she stops performing surgeries, the income disappears. She's built an extremely valuable skill, but not an asset. Meanwhile, a high school graduate who owns 3 laundromats generating $120,000 annual profit has built assets. If he stops working entirely, the machines keep running, customers keep paying, and income keeps flowing. The educated professional path typically looks like this. Age 22 to 30, build skills and credibility for modest pay. Age 30-50, Peak earning years with high income. Age 50-65, maintain or decline in income. Age 65 plus, retire and live off savings accumulated during working years. Income during retirement is typically 60-80% of working income, requiring lifestyle adjustments. The asset building path looks different. Age 22 to 30. Sacrifice income to build first assets, businesses, properties, systems. Age 30-40. Assets begin generating significant cash flow, reinvest heavily in more assets. Age 40-50. Assets generate enough passive income to cover lifestyle, continue building. Age 50 plus. Assets have compounded to generate more income than ever actively earned, with complete time freedom. The mathematics are stark. An educated professional earning $150,000 annually for 30 years and saving 15%, $22,500 annually, will accumulate approximately $2.5 million by age 65, assuming 7% investment returns. That generates about $100,000 annually in retirement income using the 4% rule. An asset builder who earns less but invests more heavily early, buying rental properties, building businesses, creating systems, might have lower peak salary but ends up with multiple income streams. $40,000 from rental properties, $80,000 from business ownership, $30,000 from investments, totaling $150,000 plus annually in passive income before age 60, with assets they can pass to heirs worth $3 to $4 million. The educated person worked for money their entire life. The asset builder made money work for them. That's the difference. Education taught you to be valuable to an employer. It didn't teach you to build value that generates wealth independently. Until you understand this distinction and shift from optimizing your salary to building assets, you'll keep wondering why less educated people are wealthier. And the answer will keep being that they're playing a completely different game than the one your education prepared you for.